Welcome back students to the third part of your video of A Wrong Man in Workers' Paradise. In your previous class we have discussed about the entire chapter. In this video we shall discuss about your extracts and paragraph question answers. The 1 mark and 2 mark question answers have already been sent to you. In this video we will discuss only about the paragraph question answers as well as the extracts. Read the following extracts and answer the questions given below. But the moving finger writes even in heaven. What does moving finger mean here? Here moving finger means fate or destiny. In Kannada you call it as Vidhi. But the moving finger writes even in heaven. What is the figure of speech used here? The figure of speech used here is personification. While explaining the lesson, I have told you the meaning of personification. Just once for your reference, personification is a figure of speech in which inanimate objects are given human qualities or human feelings or human emotions. Fate is an inanimate object. Fate cannot write even in heaven. So here the figure of speech used here is personification. What figure of speech is used in moving fingers? Here the figure of speech used here is metaphor. It is a metaphor because fate or destiny is compared to moving finger. Only when they ask you the figure of speech in moving finger, it should be metaphor. And when they ask moving finger writes even in heaven, the figure of speech used is personification. What does the sentence mean in the context? It was fate that brought the artist to the paradise. Destiny has its own ways, and even those in heaven aren't spared of its effect on them. The artist was brought to the workers' paradise by the error of the aerial messenger. So, the writer says that destiny has its own ways, and even in heaven also, they are not spared of its effect. As a princess sees a lonely beggar and is filled with pity, so the busy girl of heaven was filled with pity. Who is compared to a lonely beggar? Here, the man or the artist is compared to the lonely beggar. The man or the artist was standing on the banks of the torrent and looking at the girl. Why was the girl filled with pity? The girl was filled with pity because the artist had no work at hand. Here the writer makes the comparison of the man who was an artist and the girl with that of a princess who sees a lonely beggar and is filled with pity. How did the girl offer to help him? The girl offered to help him by sparing some work for him to do, or by offering to give him some work. The girl will look at him and will ask him, filled with pity, that she was willing to offer him some work. Where she set out for the torrent the next day, her hurrying feet were less hurried than before. What had happened the previous night? The girl examined the painted picture the previous night and scanned it again and again until she had seen something special in it. She realized that there existed things which had no purpose or meaning at all. The previous night, the girl, when she took the picture on which the artist had beautifully drawn, she took it home and she looked at it from all the angles. At night, she again got up from her bed, lighted a lamp, and again looked at the picture. For the first time in her life, she realized that there existed things which had no purpose or no meaning at all. What does hurrying feet suggest? Means what is the meaning of the word hurrying feet? Hurrying feet suggests the urgency and speed with which the girl was accustomed to do her work. The girl, like all the others in the workers' paradise, did not waste any time. They spent all their time in doing useful and valuable work. So most of the time, whenever she walked with urgency and speed to do her work. Why did they become less hurried? A new sense had awakened in her. Her mind was not completely absorbed in work. Earlier she used to walk very fast, means she always was in hurry and urgency to do the work. But after meeting the artist, her life had changed. She was not hurrying to do the work like what she was doing earlier, because for the first time in her life she had realized that there were other things which had no meaning and purpose. Her mind was diverted, it was not completely absorbed into work. So her legs were less hurried compared to what it was earlier before she met the artist. We shall now discuss about paragraph writing. In exams, they will come like answer the following questions in 8 to 10 sentences. Men in paradise said, God, we haven't a moment to spare. It's there in paragraph 6. The man says, I haven't a moment to spare for the work, in paragraph 11. Keeping in mind the above statements, contrast the attitude of the men in the paradise with that of the man, that is the artist. Here the question means to contrast the life of the people who used to live in the paradise with that of the idle artist. Initially, before the artist had its impact on the men in the workers' paradise, the attitude of the men and the artist towards duty were quite different to each other. The way the artist and the other people in the workers' paradise, the way they looked at things was entirely different. The men believed that one has to do any work which should be useful to him, and one should not waste his time on any other activity. It meant that the people in the workers' paradise did not like to waste their time. They believed that one has to always do work, and that too only work which had utility or which had usefulness in it. So they commented that they hadn't a moment to spare. But the man who was artist was also engaged in some kind of work which was quite different from the work that the men were engaged. There was a difference between the kind of work the people in the workers' paradise did and the kind of work that the artist did. The men in the workers' paradise did work which had utility, whereas the man did work which gave him pleasure or which gave him happiness. According to him, any work which gives joy to our mind and makes this world appear beautiful is quite significant. As he was busy in such works, he told that he hadn't a moment to spare for work. So, according to the artist, any work which gave joy to mind and which made his world appear beautiful was also as equally important as the work of the people in the workers' paradise. So he was busy in doing aesthetic work, or work which gave happiness to our mind. So he says that he also didn't have time to spare. There are two words in the story: the world of the idler, the artist, and the world of the workers' paradise. Both the worlds are equally important. The world of the idler, that is the artist, is important because it makes our mind happy. It is the world where all of us forget our sorrows and take delight in the activities of our life. That world, the aesthetic one, makes our life colorful, though it appears to have no meaning or purpose at all superficially. The writer says that both the worlds are equally important because the world of the idler gives us happiness. It makes us to forget our sorrows. It makes our life colorful. Though it has no meaning and purpose at all, yet it brings us happiness. However, similarly, the world of the inhabitants of the workers' paradise is also equally significant because this is the world which keeps us to survive. The physical work undertaken in this world can only feed our mouths. If not, we will be starved to death. In this way, both these worlds are complementary to each other. One takes care of the mind and other takes care of our body. The writer says that both the worlds are equally important. While one world gives us happiness to mind. Another word is important for our survival. It is only when we people work hard, we get food and money. These things are essential for us to lead our everyday life. They are very, very essential for our survival. So, while one world, the world of the artist, takes care of our mind, the world of the worker's paradise, that is hard work, takes care of our body. So, at the end, the poet wishes to say that both are required. Hard work also is required. The world of aesthetic sense or aesthetic beauty also is required. Both these complement each other, or both of them go together with each other. So now moving to your grammar part. We shall see your first part of grammar that you have for this chapter, that is antonyms. Antonyms are opposite words. Words which are opposite in meaning are called as antonyms. The opposite of antonym is synonyms. Synonyms are words which are giving similar meaning. Words are called as synonyms. Words which give us opposite words in meaning are called as antonyms. So here they have given us certain underlined words and they have told us to write the opposite of those words to complete the meaning. The first one, the people utilize every minute of their life, whereas the man dash his time. The opposite of utilize is waste. So the answer will be whereas the man wastes his time. The second one, the busy farmer laughed at the dash artist. The opposite of busy is lazy. So the answer will be the busy farmers laughed at the lazy artist. Some students always work hard, but many dash do. Some students always work hard. Opposite of always is seldom. Seldom means very rarely. Rarely is another word is seldom, very hardly or very rarely. Every individual must have confidence in his abilities. However, we notice timidity in many individuals. The opposite of confidence is timidity. Confident, opposite is timid. Confidence, opposite is timidity. The workers thought that the artist was worthless, whereas the girl of the silent torrent considered him valuable. The opposite of worthless is valuable. Valuable is something that has got value. So the opposite of worthless is valuable. So here you learned 5 antonyms. Utilize, antonym is waste. Busy is lazy. Always, antonym is seldom. Confidence is timidity, and worthless is valuable. So now we shall see about the language activities. Use the following words in sentences of your own. The first one is run away. The meaning of run away is to escape. He ran away from the hostel, or else the little child ran away from its home. Run down. Run down means to strike or overturn a vehicle, especially into someone. A sentence can be Raja ran down an innocent pedestrian. Means when that innocent pedestrian was walking, Raja went and put his bike on him. Run into. Run into means to meet by chance. We ran into our old schoolmates at the shopping mall yesterday. Means by chance you got to meet your old friends. So we ran into our old schoolmates at the shopping mall yesterday. It means that we met our old school friends yesterday at the shopping mall. So run into means to meet by chance. Go about. Go about means to occupy oneself or to perform. The shoemaker goes about his job with a smile. Means he keeps himself busy with a smile. Go about means to occupy oneself or to perform. Go away. Go away means to leave. People go away during vacations on foreign trips. So people go away on foreign trips during the vacations. Go ahead. Go ahead means to proceed without any hesitation or delay. So if you want to use my car, go ahead means you can use my car without any hesitation or delay. Take aback. Take aback means surprise or shock. The students were taken aback when they saw the headmaster in the class. So when the students saw the headmaster in the class, they were taken aback or they were shocked. Take off. Take off means to leave or to fly. The aeroplane took off after the weather cleared. So after the weather cleared, the aeroplane took off means it left. Take on. Take on means to accept additional responsibility. For example, the girl took on as the monitor of the class. Reena took on as the manager of the company. Run out. Time not much left. Time was running out for the conflict of death penalty, or time is running out for our exams. Not much time left is called as run out. Run around. Run around means to spend a lot of time with is called as run around. The child is always running around with her pet dog. Go through. The meaning of go through is examine carefully. Students should go through the answer sheets before submitting. Or you can even write as the doctor went through the previous report of the patient. Examining carefully is called as go through. Go along. Go along means to continue. All were forced to go along with the king's plan. The students decided to go along with the monitor's ideas. Means to continue to go is called as go along. Go into. Go into means to look deeply. The police had to go into the investigation deeply to know the truth. Then next is take over. Take over means to succeed. Humayun took over the administration of the kingdom after Babur's demise. After Babur's demise, Humayun took over the administration. Or after the death of her father, the son took over the business. Use the following words in your own sentences. The first one is indulge in. Indulge in means to involve in or ತೊಡಗಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುವುದು. The busy men in workers' paradise did not like to indulge in activities such as painting. It means they did not like to involve themselves in activities such as painting. Next one is take charge of. The commander had taken in charge of the army. To take responsibility of is called as to take charge of. The commander had taken in the responsibility of his army. Shake off. To come out of. The convict could not shake off his guilt. He could not come out of his guilt. Take to task means to scold. The mother had taken her son to task for his lazy behavior, or else the teacher took to task the student for not completing his work. Get the better of. Finally, impatience got the better of her and she opened the letter. Set out for. She set out for a camping trip in the summer. To go out for is called as to set out for. Come to pass. A day without any work comes to pass rarely in workers' paradise. Be filled with. She was filled with joy when she got the highest marks in the exams. Laugh at. To make fun of. The new boy in the class was laughed at. Now we shall see about speaking activities. Making requests works in pair and makes suitable requests for the situation given below. Your car breaks down in the middle of a busy road. You stop a biker and his friend on the pillion and ask them to help you push the car to a side. Then how will you ask him for help? You are going in a car and suddenly your car breaks down. Then you find a biker and you stop that biker and want to ask him help. Then how would you ask him help? You can ask him help by asking, will you please help me to push the car? The second situation is, your grandfather is critically ill counting days. You want to be with him for some time. Request your headmaster for 15 days leave of absence. So the way you can request your headmaster will be, would you kindly grant me 15 days leave of absence to visit my grandfather who is critically ill. So they are polite forms of asking for help. With this, your chapter gets completed. If you students have any doubts regarding it, we will discuss it when your school reopens. Until then, you can complete all these notes in your classworks neatly. Stay home, stay safe.